Nancy Grace stoked controversy on the airwaves with her intense approach to true crime stories. But there's no shortage of eyebrow-raising facts about her romantic life either. Here's why Nancy's marriage keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Who doesn't want to solve a mystery?
If you followed Grace throughout the years, then you know her former fiancé Keith Griffin was murdered by a coworker in 1979. Grace told Newsweek, "After Keith died, I had to learn to control my thoughts. Even years later, I really had a hard time entertaining the thought of allowing myself to have a family." Grace's outlook changed, however, when she received a message from Griffin in a dream.
I looked at him and he went, "I want you to go on."
Grace, who was struggling to make her long-distance relationship with current husband David Linch work at the time, recalled, "In the dream, Keith said he was in heaven and he wanted me to go on. That next morning, I called my boyfriend David."
So listen, you're going to either move to New York and we're going to get married and start a family, or we're breaking up.
David moved to New York and the happily married couple had 2 kids. Grace's courtship with Lynch was anything but smooth. Grace, who was still grieving the loss of her fiancé, openly admitted she struggled to love her new guy.
My world exploded.
Nancy told The Hollywood Reporter, "David fell in love by all accounts, but I couldn't. I would break down and cry. I just couldn't engage in a relationship." As for Lynch, he hung on for a while until one day when he couldn't take it anymore. He confessed to the outlet, "At times it probably was painful. One time I said, I don't want to be a placeholder." Talk about a patient guy. The good news is Grace eventually developed a deep love for Lynch. The couple eventually decided to get married, but the strange part was that they kept the wedding under wraps, even when it came to their parents.
Nobody saw it coming.
Grace confessed to the New York Post, "I told my family only 2 days before the wedding." Although some might argue Grace has the right to keep her privacy, it's odd she would wait to tell her parents given their strong ties. Grace was especially close to her father Mac, who died in 2015, and supposedly connected with him during an episode of Hollywood Medium.
Who had the congestive heart failure?
My father.
It also turns out that Grace didn't even break the news about her wedding to fans until 2 months after the big day. Considering Nancy Grace is incredibly outspoken and dynamic, you might think she'd look for similar qualities in a partner. Strangely enough, though, Grace opted for the decidedly mellow Lynch. She told the Daily Mail, "David is very quiet but extremely self-confident. He's very unassuming and he goes along with all my crazy ideas." According to that description, it doesn't sound like the couple's partnership is on equal footing. But on the other hand, maybe this dynamic works because the two balance each other out. With over 85,000 followers as of October 2019, Grace often shares snaps of her twins on Instagram. But the one person who is almost completely absent from her feed is her hubby, David. Maybe it's just us, but we think it's a little bizarre to barely feature your partner on your social media accounts.
Hi guys, we're really ratcheting this whole thing up.
Although we suspect Lynch is physically present for these important family occasions, we have to ask why he rarely appears in photographs commemorating them. Even if he's too shy to regularly appear on her feed, one would think he'd strike a pose for the camera just for the sake of appearances. Not everyone can handle a relationship with a celebrity, especially with one as high profile as Grace. Ever since she first started out on Court TV, she's maintained a very active career with multiple networks. Although it would make sense for Grace to go out of her way to include Lynch in her celebrity lifestyle, it seems like he's merely a background character. Want proof? Look no further than an interview he did called, quote, David Linch on being married to Nancy Grace.
What's it like to be married to someone that's so well recognized for her work as that type of journalist?
It's great.
Luckily, Grace doesn't take her husband's devotion for granted. She told Good Housekeeping, "I just never dreamed I could love someone so much and have someone love me back so much." Fans can be extremely observant when it comes to their beloved celebrities, a fact Grace probably realized when one of her supporters wrote into Parade magazine to ask about her missing wedding ring. Apparently, Grace was spotted without it, following her stint on Dancing with the Stars in 2011. The source asked the outlet, "Nancy Grace hasn't been wearing her beautiful wedding ring. Is she still married?"
Bombshell!
But it turned out Grace had a perfectly good reason for not rocking her rock. It didn't fit, a source told the Inquirer. Nancy dropped a ton of weight on dancing, and her ring didn't fit anymore. In fact, she nearly lost it 3 times. She's having it resized. Grace confirmed to Parade magazine that she didn't want to risk losing her ring post-weight loss. Looks like this trouble in paradise was no more than a little buzz about nothing. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.